All right, let's talk business. Have you ever looked at a vacation package deal and wondered how they came up with that specific combination of flights, rooms, and tours? Well, it's not random. In fact, it's a masterclass in applied microeconomics. Today, we're going to break down a really sharp case study from a resort in Tanjung Lesung. We'll see exactly how its managers use core economic principles like utility theory and consumer surplus to design these perfect vacation bundles. This isn't just about making guests happy, it's about systematically turning customer psychology into maximum revenue. Let's get into it.
So here's our roadmap. First, we'll set the stage and look at the core business problem the resort was facing. Then, we'll dive into how they segmented their customer base, which is the critical first step. From there, we'll analyze the two very different bundles they created, and this is the fun part. We'll unpack the economic theory, consumer surplus, that makes this whole thing tick. And finally, we'll see how it all leads to a win-win for everyone involved.
Okay, so let's put ourselves in the manager's shoes. You've got this amazing resort, but you have a nagging feeling that you're leaving money on the table. A one-size-fits-all price list just isn't cutting it. The fundamental challenge here boils down to something called utility theory. Now, in simple terms, utility is just a way to talk about satisfaction or happiness. The key insight for any manager is that you're not just selling a room or a jet ski rental. You're selling utility. The real question is, how do you package your assets, your rooms, your staff, your activities, to deliver the maximum possible utility to very different people in very different ways? That's the puzzle we're here to solve. And that leads directly to the first and maybe most important breakthrough for the resort. They realized their customer base wasn't one big, homogeneous group. It's so easy to just think of them as tourists, but that's a huge mistake. They had two fundamentally different types of guests coming through the door, each with their own unique desires and motivations. And let me tell you, understanding these deep-seated preferences, well, that's the bedrock of this entire strategy. Everything else is built on this foundation.
So this is where we get into the real economics. On one side, you've got the adventure group. Think younger couples, groups of friends. On the other, the relaxation group, honeymooners, older couples. The key differentiator is this term, MRS, or the Marginal Rate of Substitution. So what is that? It's simply the rate at which a person is willing to trade one good for another. The adventure group has a high MRS for activities. That means they'll gladly give up a lot of room comfort, maybe a sea view or a bigger bed, just to get one more activity voucher. Their happiness comes from doing things. For the relaxation group, it's the total opposite. They have a low MRS for activities. They value comfort so much that you'd have to offer them a ridiculous amount of luxury just to get them to consider, say, an ATV ride. For them, utility comes from being pampered, not from exertion.
So once you have this clear distinction, you can stop wasting your marketing budget. You don't try to sell a spa day to an adrenaline junkie. Instead, you get strategic. You build a targeted offer. And the first one is for that adventure group. Now, this is not just throwing a few activities together. No, this is a precisely engineered package designed to hit their preferences right on the money.
Let's dissect this bundle. Look at what they've done. 6 activity vouchers, but paired with a basic, standard room. The business strategy here is just beautiful. The room is a low-cost component for the resort, and it's something this group doesn't value highly anyway. But the activities? The marginal cost of letting a guest use a jet ski you already own is pretty low. A little fuel, a little maintenance. But the perceived value to this customer? It's huge. The entire goal is to load the bundle with what this group values most. The result, in economic terms, is that you've engineered an offer that hits their sweet spot. It lands on the highest possible indifference curve for them, meaning you've given them the most happiness they could get for their budget. It's a perfect match for their high MRS. Now, let's flip the script entirely and look at the second group. If you offered them that adventure bundle, you'd probably get laughed out of the room. It wouldn't just be unappealing. It would actually reduce their sense of well-being, their utility. So the manager has to design a completely different experience, one that's all about luxury, comfort, and peace. And this bundle is just a masterclass in value creation. The core components are high comfort items, a beautiful sea view villa, spa treatments, but the real genius here is that little add-on, daily breakfast in bed. From a managerial perspective, think about the cost. It's almost nothing. The food is already budgeted for, and it's maybe 10-15 minutes of a staff member's time. But the perceived utility for the guest, it's off the charts. It signals luxury, personal attention, and pure indulgence. This is a crucial lesson for any business. Value is not about your cost. It's about meeting a customer's deepest emotional needs. Here, the product isn't just a room and a meal. It's the feeling of being completely pampered. Okay, so we've got 2 different bundles for 2 different groups. They both seem pretty smart. But why is this approach so much more profitable than just having an a la carte menu and letting people pick what they want?
The answer lies in one of the most important concepts in pricing strategy: consumer surplus.
Let's break this down. Every single one of us has a maximum price we're willing to pay for something. If you're dying for a coffee and you'd pay up to $5 for it, but the shop only charges $3, that $2 difference is your consumer surplus. It's that internal feeling of, hey, I got a great deal. Now, a smart manager's job isn't to get rid of that feeling. It's to design a pricing structure that captures as much of that hidden value as possible and converts it into company revenue.
And this quote just nails it. By creating these bundles, the resort cleverly masks the individual prices. The adventure seeker isn't doing the math on the room versus the ATV rental. They're just thinking, wow, all this fun for one great price. The resort has effectively captured the consumer surplus that was tied to their love of activities. And the exact same thing happens with the relaxation group. They feel like they're getting an incredible deal on a luxury experience. Each bundle is designed to perfectly extract that willingness to pay from each specific group.
This brings us to the conclusion of the whole strategy. And what's so powerful about this is that it's not a zero-sum game. This isn't a situation where the resort wins by tricking the customer. Because the packages are so perfectly aligned with what the guests actually want, it creates a scenario where, believe it or not, everybody walks away feeling like they won. So, at the end of the day, here's what happened. The resort implemented a form of price discrimination, moving away from a single price point that was probably too high for some and way too low for others. By creating two optimal price points, they absorbed a huge chunk of the available consumer surplus from both market segments, maximizing their total revenue. But what about the guests? Well, they got a vacation that felt tailor-made for them. They reached their personal peak utility, and they left feeling satisfied, happy, and convinced they got a fantastic value for their money. That's the holy grail: happy customers and maximum profit.
So from now on, whenever you see a package deal, whether it's for a vacation, a cell phone plan, or even a software subscription, take a second and look closer. Try to see the hidden economics. Ask yourself, who are the different customer segments they're targeting? What is the utility they are trying to maximize with each offer? And the most important question of all, which one of these bundles was designed for me?